So, the new Pokemon episode has just come out. Pokemon Journeys, Leon vs. Ash, the first episode. I think it's called like Torrent or something, part 1 Torrent, something like that. And wow, was it such a great episode. And I just sort of want to just talk about it here and theorize about it and to share my thoughts on it. So let's just get started. So first, the episode actually starts off with Go because he separated with Ash, which I think is actually a pretty interesting way how they basically just separated the two characters during the climax. I feel like it probably has some relevance, and it does, because Go says to Gary that once Ash and Go meet again, they will come back to each other with a smile, which I think is foreshadowing, but trying to foreshadow something that you could generally think you expect, but it's actually the opposite. So basically what I mean is that, okay, they're gonna meet again with a smile because they both successfully completed, like Go completed his mission and Ash won the championships, right? What I think they're actually trying to do, because it's still a very simple story, so it's not like they're trying to go too complicated here, right? So I feel like what they really want to do is subvert the general expectation, and they'll come back to each other with a smile. But for Ash, it'll, like, I don't know what will happen with Go, but at the very least for Ash, I think that he will come back with a resign, where he's accepted his defeat. And I only feel this way because I feel like Ash winning just doesn't make sense. And like, sure, I grew up with Ash and have always wanted him to win, and him becoming the greatest trainer, all of that is great. But I still don't think that he's particularly ready for it. And I hope that the creators notice this as well. Unless they just want to wrap up his character arc, which is also fine. But I personally feel that they really just want to set up his defeat. But I'll get into that in a moment. First, let's talk about the introduction to the fight. So basically, we first get introduced to some some returning characters, not new. So like we see Dawn, Chloe, we see Sonia, and then we see Ash and Leon walk onto the battlefield, and the referee gives an introduction to the two. Sorry, not the referee, the announcer gives an introduction to the two. The referee gives the rules. Leon interrupts and says that Leon basically wants Ash to battle with all three of his gimmicks. So that is Z-moves, Mega Evolution, and Gigantamax, right? But here I feel like that's a bit strange, because if Ash were to win, it would sort of feel a bit cheap, because he could only win with all three of the, with all three of those gimmicks, right? And that's, again, another reason why I think that he will lose, because even using everything that he had, it still wasn't enough. And I think, like, Ash just still needs to grow. He's still, canonly, he's still 10 years old. Even with all of his adventures, I don't really feel like he's still grown enough, and I don't know if he would be able to handle that sudden leap from just becoming a champion to suddenly becoming the best in the world. In fact, it took me by surprise myself, because I never actually realized that the World Championships was meant to be something of, like, becoming the best in the world. I just thought it was about beating another champion, Leon. That was like the most I thought of it, but no. And even Ash being a champion never really felt so real, because it felt like less of a league, but more like a sort of league in Sun and Moon. So I never really saw him as a proper champion. But I guess the writers did, because now they're suddenly throwing him against the best of the best, and he won against Steven and Cynthia, who I definitely always wanted to see Ash fight, right, when they made their first introduction. But I never really thought of them as, like, there was such a big difference, and suddenly Sun and Moon closed that gap very quickly, and Journeys just sort of had Ash to absolutely with a strange power scaling. But either way, I still think it's pretty entertaining to watch, and I don't really think it matters that much, but I understand why some would feel that way. Now, Leon basically tells him that only one is, it's not fun. And he basically just tells Ash, use all of them. And I just feel with Ash using all these three gimmicks, it just wouldn't be a satisfying win. And so I definitely feel like Leon basically has to win, because if Leon doesn't win, it basically means Ash is the best, and the creators will basically just have to throw Ash out of the window unless they just want to turn the series, like, either not surrounding Ash or into a completely different genre, which I don't think they would really want to do. Especially because in Japanese, Ash's name is Satoshi. And the thing is, that's the name of Pokemon's creator. So to just sort of be like, okay, you're no longer relevant, feels a bit strange. Like, I feel like they wouldn't really want to do that. But again, it's very possible that they feel the time is right and they feel like they've done all they can with Ash and they want to move on. But personally, what I think I would like the most is Ash loses. He resigns himself and he realizes that he wasn't really on the level that he thought he was and that he still has a lot of room to grow. And then he sort of goes back to training in the Scarlet and Violet anime in Paldea, hopefully. And I think that'd be really fun to see. I do really hope that the anime will continue with Ash and not really just portray him as this super ultra powerful, best in the world type of person, but almost like I wouldn't even mind a reset. At some point, Ash was struggling to win against normal other trainers and suddenly is fighting at the top of the top. And I never really felt any growth with him. So I feel like a reset would just do the series so well. And personally, I wouldn't mind that. I don't know if that's what they will actually do, but that's something that I think I would personally want, to see him just have that linear structure of adventure again. But that's really just my nostalgia talking, because that's what I personally enjoyed the most from the series. But let me just continue on as to why I don't think Ash will win. Let me just explain how the battle structure went here. So first we see first we see Pikachu against Cinderace. The Cinderace is Libero. Pikachu, I mean, he still has Iron Tail and Quick Attack, but I guess Ash didn't want Pikachu to go against a ground type now, because Cinderace turned into a ground type with its Libero ability. At this point, Leon is already outsmarting Ash, right? And then Gengar versus Inteleon comes out, and what happens is that Gengar is basically immediately thrusted into a situation where he has to go into Gigantamax. It did honestly feel a bit too early, but again, I'm sure Ash is just using just whatever feels right in that moment. And I think he intended to use Gengar throughout the entire match and not return him, so that was really just Ash's concept that now that Gengar's out, he's gonna use the gimmick because he doesn't want obviously Gengar to faint before then. And Inteleon loses to Gengar, but Inteleon does do a lot of damage to Gengar. So at this point, it still feels like, even with Inteleon going down now against Gengar, and Gengar is now going out of Gigantamax because the hits were too powerful from Inteleon, it still feels like Leon is almost like thrashing Ash. And here's where I think, what type of format would you really want to use when making a character win, right? And looking at the formats that the battles look, so I decided to think of 3 formats. So the first I thought of Tobias versus Ash, Cameron versus Ash, and Alon versus Ash. All 3 of which Ash lost. But which format did they choose? Now, these formats obviously change because the creators don't want it to become predictable, so it's not really a good way to look at it, but I just wanted to see if there is any patterns, but it doesn't really seem like there is too much other than, so let me explain. Basically, Alon versus Ash pretty much just seemed almost tied. At first, it seemed Ash was doing a bit better, and then it sort of just went 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, it seems, type of situation. Not exactly, but yeah, just looking at it, it seems that I didn't really rewatch it. I'm just sort of looking at images. So it seems like Ash had lost 2 Pokemon, while Alon had lost 3. So it seems like Alon had just always been at just one, like just barely at a disadvantage, it seems. And then I think of, let's say, Cameron versus Ash and Tobias versus Ash, which both I think followed a pretty similar format where Cameron and Tobias basically crushed Ash from the very beginning. Ash put up a decent fight, but it really wasn't good enough, right? So when you look at the Leon versus Ash fight right now that's going on, you can't help but think like, okay, it's sort of 1-1, but also at the same time, it does feel like Leon is sort of at an advantage there. When I look at where they are up to, so Leon has revealed, so basically right now they are both tied. Leon and Ash, after the first episode, they both have lost 1 Pokemon and have to reveal 2. So basically they just lost 1 Pokemon, and that's the real summary of that. It has felt, at least for me, that Leon has been a bit more on the upstream when it comes to this fight so far, but Ash is sort of just like Boulder that's sort of pushing, that's like almost just blocking the way, and I don't know, hard to explain, but it does feel like pretty even so far, but it still is a situation where Leon is teaching Ash, and this could be seen here when... So, Leon dedicates his victory to Inteleon, and basically says that Inteleon was the one who put in the work, put in the effort, all his built up damage did that, and that's how you need to fight a 6v6. You need to understand that your Pokemon may not win the battle, but in a way they sort of do. Because if they put in the most damage, it's like, you know that thing where people are, let's say, trying to cut down a tree, and they just can't do it. And then one person comes along with one weak chop, and it just falls off. But it's because of the built-up damage that's already taken. So that last person could have done a much worse job than all of the previous lumber people, whatever, tree choppers. I have no idea what they're called. I feel like I should know, but basically, yeah, such a situation, I feel, is what Leon is trying to express to Ash. And this is meant to be a teaching moment to Ash, which is Leon, like, that's what Leon is trying to do. And I can't just help but feel like this is meant to be a teaching lesson to Ash, this battle. And I feel like Ash should lose. Like, I feel like this is a fight that he should lose. Regardless, like, no matter what happens, unless he has extreme growth and this is something that he can handle well, I think he should lose. I feel it's very similar to Iris versus Cynthia. I personally wanted Iris to lose to Cynthia, not because I don't like Iris as a character, I love her as a character, but rather she just wasn't ready. She's still, you know, I don't think she was ready to become a champion, because becoming a not a champion, she's already a champion, but basically becoming a Dragon Master, she would reach her goal. It's not something that I think she was particularly ready for. Again, I'm really just saying it because they are still very young, and I think completing their goals so young is, like, just unhealthy, and I don't think that's a good lesson to teach the kids who watch it, that, like, your goals will obviously come true going through with it, right? But I don't think it should happen when the person they just wouldn't be able to handle it. And I feel like it's a similar situation with Ash. I don't think he would be able to handle it maturely. He has been the most mature, though, in Pokemon Journey, so maybe that would work with his character, perhaps, but I just feel like it doesn't really make much sense because he never really had that growth to get there. At least, like, natural growth, if that makes sense. Like, it never felt like a transition properly. But yeah, then we also know that the director said that he wants to tackle that Ash will have to face the question, what do you do when you are a Pokemon master? And this question was actually asked by Alder in the Unova anime, and it never really, there was never really an answer. It sort of just left off from there. Alder asked the question, Ash was stumbled, and they sort of just got sidetracked, but it was meant to be a teaching lesson for Ash. And the real answer, I think, that it was meant to express is that it isn't strength that makes you great, but rather the friendship between humans and Pokemon. And I think that was really just what they were trying to express in the Unova anime, but I wonder what they're gonna try expressing now. Will Ash win? Will he not be able to understand it, take it in, or will it be a good moment for him? Will it help him grow as a person? I'm very curious to see how that basically just happens. Yeah. But yeah, either way, I have no idea what direction they're gonna want to take it in. I'm also not sure when this episode is gonna come, when this video is going to come out. So it could be like once the second part to the fight has already come out. So yeah, I'm curious to see how the battle will unfold, how it'll be concluded. I'm very excited to see it because this is going to be a very big moment in the series. I'm very excited to see what next step will be for the franchise. But yeah, either way, let me know what you guys think about my comments on the episode, what you guys think about the fight, what you guys think about the episode, just all your thoughts that may have come up during this video. Just let me know, because I am curious to know what other people are thinking about this, because I just think it's interesting and I'd like to get to know you guys better. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye!